Hey guys, welcome to episode 14 of our weekly Super Smash Bros. Ultimate News Roundup, which means there's only 12 weeks left until the game is out, so we're more than halfway there, at least since the E3 reveal. It's so close, guys! As usual, we're joined by Ash and Derek, but no John this week, so we're going old school to go over all the updates from the Smash Bros. Blog and elsewhere from the past week. So let's get right to it. And that starts off on day 1, being Sunday, with a character overview of Bowser. The new description reads, "Who's the greatest nemesis of them all? It's King Bowser. In Super Smash Bros., his power and weight make him a reliable fighter. He uses Fire Breath to keep opponents at bay, then uses damaging attacks to launch them off the stage. He transforms into Giga Bowser for his final smash and delivers a super powerful punch." Now, beyond this final smash being tweaked in this game, there's a few other key points I want to go over, which I pulled from the Super Smash Bros. Wiki, so once again, thanks to them for an exhaustive list of all the changes. And the ones that stood out to me are the fact that Bowser's heavy armor apparently is stronger than before, now absorbing even more attacks, such as Villager's Slingshot. Beyond that, he has a brand new down smash, now attacking on both sides of him, which will make him even more of a menace to deal with. And then his Bowser Bomb now has a Meteor Smash property if you hit it at the beginning of his descent. So how are you guys feeling about Bowser and the changes to him in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate?
That first change terrifies me, because that one change at the beginning where you mentioned Villager's Slingshot, he can resist that now. I'm pretty sure that's going to apply to Mega Man's pellets too, or his lemons as they're more widely known. And that one change is going to change that matchup to make it more neutral, I think, because so far in Smash 4, the matchup against between Mega Man and Bowser is way in Mega Man's favor. Now, I'm not so sure it will be, so that one change makes a huge difference to me for Bowser.
Yes, weaken the Mega Man. Weaken Ash, that's all I care about.
Yeah, Mega Man, more like Meek Man, am I right?
Oh man, no.
I really do enjoy Bowser. He's one of those that's like, I feel like changing up, let's play as Bowser, and then I always do surprisingly well with him. Or I could do terrible. He's sort of like a coin flip for me. But he is fun to use. I like his drop kick. I like how he's always seen some of the most changes as far as animation as time goes on. Because do you remember his original run where he sort of does this like scooter across the stage?
Yeah, he actually runs now.
Yeah, exactly.
And it really carries across like his weight and ferocity. Like I love the way he runs now because it just makes him feel as ferocious as he actually is, as compared to that kind of skidding across the ground. One thing I'm really excited to see is I think that the buff that the Bowser Bomb got is going to make a huge difference in team play, because I can just see like one teammate who's not Bowser popping up an opponent underneath Bowser, and then Bowser doing the Bowser Bomb and just meteor smashing immediately at the very beginning of it. I can't wait to see stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I think heavy characters in general are just really fun to play as, because when you land those powerful attacks, they really connect, and you feel that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bowser is just a fun character to use, and I do like most of the changes they're making here. As Derek touched on, I like the fact that he actually runs this time, because that weird scoot thing never made sense to me. I don't know why it was there. I don't think it's been in any of the games.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from exactly. It looked cool at the time, but just having it replaced with that he's just lumbering forward, and he's just ready for business, and it's just it really carries across his ferocity very well, I think, much better.
Now they have tweaked his final smash as well, where instead of actually playing as Giga Bowser, you now just kind of aim where he punches on the stage, and I think it makes sense. I like that change. I think it makes sense for how final smashes now work in Super Smash Bros. And I like how he appears menacingly in the background, very reminiscent of Yoshi's Island, the final boss in Yoshi's Island. However, the thing I don't like about it is the fact it's still Giga Bowser. This is not a Mario character. His origins are from Super Smash Bros. Melee. They don't really make any other sense besides the fact they needed a powered-up villain for that part of the game. And I wish he had used something more, pulled from the actual games, whether it's the Clown Copter, or maybe just his bigger appearance from Super Mario Galaxy. There's already a bigger Bowser, we don't need the Giga Bowser version.
Maybe he should transform into giant baby Bowser and just screw with everyone's heads from Yoshi's Island.
Oh my God.
But no, I hear you though. It isn't pulled from anything except Smash Bros. Melee, which is, it's a cool design for Bowser, but it doesn't come from any of the Mario games, and I agree. I think something to do with the clown car or something that just comes straight from one of his games would make more sense.
Right.
It's so funny when I remember when I first saw Giga Bowser, I'm like, oh, this is freaking awesome, and they did redesign him somewhat for this the Ultimate version. It kind of makes it a little bit more in line, but it is kind of funny. I was like, Giga Bowser's kind of passé now. Let's actually see some of the other Bowsers. But the funny thing is that usually if Bowser is bigger, he's just kind of bigger, and there's not really that much different about him. So I can see why they keep Giga Bowser, just because they have that visual change. Although I do kind of agree with Andre that it does make me think of that final fight in Yoshi's Island. Of course, he's not a baby in this, but just imagine like a shadowed Bowser punching from the background.
Oh, that's really kind of cool idea. Yeah,
that would be really cool, actually. Yeah,
that'd be a more direct callback. I like it. I like it a lot, Derek.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to day 2, being Monday, where we've got a character overview of Toon Link. The description reads, he's smaller and faster than Link, his bombs explode to the unique anime style. For his final smash, he emits light from his left hand, and any opponents hit by it are trapped in the Triforce, subject to a punching gauntlet of attacks. I pulled out a couple of key points here as well, again for the Smash Bros. Wiki. Overall, Toon Link doesn't appear to have that many changes, at least that people have picked up on, but the two key points here are the fact that his forward smash has been changed to a single upward swing this time, which prevents him from following up on the attack if he misses. And then also, as the description touches on, his final smash is the same as it was before in the past games, and also as it has been for past Links, or the primary Link at least. So yeah, I guess what do you guys think about Toon Link being back?
Toon Link is one of my favorite characters in the roster. I love, obviously, I love the Wind Waker. Toon Link is my very favorite version of Link, and I do like that this specific Toon Link is obviously the Wind Waker Link because you see the Master Sword and everything. And he's my favorite version of Link to play as. He's always been my favorite version of Link, period. And I'm so glad to see him back. And I think he looks even better here. Like, he looks really good in the Wii U version, but there's something about his face, the way the texturing is or something. It's hard. I'm not an engineer or a developer, so I can't say exactly what they did, but they made his face even more animated-esque, like it's coming straight from Wind Waker HD. And I really like that about it. And I will say, though, as someone who likes to play Toon Link, I'm not liking the nerf he got to his forward smash, because I can't tell you how many times I've faked out somebody thinking that I missed them with my initial slash, and then I follow up with the second slash and nail them. And it was such a great kind of feint-type move, and now it's just kind of a regular smash. It's like an upward slash with the sword, and I'm a little disappointed by that, I have to say.
Yeah, I can sort of see why they did that, though, because I'm guessing young Link still has that.
That's true. Yeah.
Double attack, and they probably needed to find ways to differentiate the two beyond visually, because they don't become echoes of one another, because technically they're not echoes.
Right.
They are different enough. And I agree with you. I think the fact that they've put so much focus on the facial animations this time around, just getting those reactions in, has really helped Toon Link a lot. And it's really funny to think about his how he premiered in Brawl, which went for the more realistic style.
Right.
That just did not work for Toon Link at all. And it's great to see how he's just gotten better and better with each iteration of Smash, and looks really good. Honestly, there's not too much to say about him, because he does seem to be mostly the same. He is a great version of Link. It's great that you can actually use this Link as sort of like, well, this is what normal Link played like before, and I don't want to use the Breath of the Wild style, and so here we go.
Yeah, you guys pretty much covered it all. I think the only disappointing aspect of Toon Link is the fact that his final smash is still the Triforce Slash, which has never, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I've never liked it. It's just never really said anything to me about the games themselves. And with Toon Link in particular, I feel like they could have found something even more, something actually unique for him.
I mean, I feel like he could just come sailing in on the King of Red Lions and just flood out the stage and KO or damage and or KO everybody.
That would be perfect for their new cinematic style Final Smashes too.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, here's the question, which is better, the Triforce Slash or normal Link's arrow now? His change.
Yeah, I'll say that even though the Triforce Slash doesn't come from any one game in the series, I do still think it looks cool, and I think it's way cooler than the ancient bow and arrow Final Smash that regular Link now has. So it's kind of hard, because I agree with you, Andre, it doesn't come from any specific thing, so that kind of sucks, but it does look cool, and it looks way cooler than Link's, in my opinion.
That's fair enough. Alright, but let's go ahead and move on to day 3, being Tuesday, where we have a couple updates for today. And first off is a new music track from Pikmin, being the main theme. So I'll go and toss it to you, Ash, for all the details on this one.
Alright, yeah, so the main theme from Pikmin has been rearranged by Hideki Sakamoto, who is a composer, a video game music composer, who is also the representative director of Noisy Croak, which is a Tokyo-based sound design company that's focused on game soundtracks, which of course makes sense. Some of his past works include Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time and Darkness, Castlevania Judgment, Yakuza 2 and 3, and both Echochrome games. And he has also contributed 2 rearrangements to Smash 4 in the past, being the main theme and underworld theme medley from the original Legend of Zelda, and the Great Cave Offensive rearrangement from Kirby Superstar. So he also, and this is kind of a cool bit of trivia, per the official site, he also is the composition supervisor for the Smash Bros. Ultimate main theme. So this guy, he's not only has his hands in this main theme from Pikmin, but he's helping with the main theme for the whole game.
Yeah, I love this theme. I think he did a great job with it. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Pikmin music in general, and the way this sounds, like, it makes it feel more epic than it ever has been before. Like, it almost captures, I feel like, the weight of the series, especially in the first Pikmin, from which this song comes from, like how dire the circumstances were and how big the events were. Like, I feel like this song, or this version of it, captures that feeling better than the actual track from the game itself did. So I love it. I thought it sounds epic, and I can't wait to actually play a match with it in the background.
Cool. Yeah, I'm of two minds on it, because I do like it to a degree, but I think I'm not necessarily primed to love it, because I'm not really a big Pikmin fan, and I'm not a big Pikmin music fan. I haven't played enough of the games to know all the music very well, so I think that I'm just not as into this song to begin with. But I will say, having heard the original now and kind of comparing the two, I do like what Sakamoto has done to it.
I'm kind of more in line with Ash. It's weird because I feel like Pikmin music works best in Pikmin. I've never had any Smash Pikmin song really affect me that much. It's like, I mean, it says something when one of the background tracks initially was just, here's nature sounds, basically.
That's true.
So it was hard to get to it. I do like this arrangement. I think it does help, but it's also, I don't know, I sort of have to wrap my mind around it. It's one of those things I think I just have to listen to it more and more in order to really appreciate it. But this guy's background of work is really great. Like, I listened to the Castlevania Judgment tunes quite a bit, and they are the best part of that game. And, he does do great work. So, it might not be my favorite song that we've gotten out of this, but it's a good rearrangement for Pikmin.
I know you're waiting for the... Oh, actually, never mind. I was going to make a joke about Yoshi's New Island, but we already got that remix, and it was good.
Yeah, seriously.
It was actually good.
And that was amazing.
Okay, before we move on to the second update, I believe, Ash, you have a quick correction you need to make about something you said last week?
Yeah, so I wanted to issue a quick correction for last week's composer. Thank you to everyone who pointed this out on Twitter, but last week's composer, who did the Fortress Boss remix from Super Mario Bros. 3, Akihiro Honda, I said that he had not done anything on Smash before, and I was wrong about that. This didn't come up in my research, but he actually did contribute a single track to Brawl, which was the Brawl version of Metal Gear Solid 4's Theme of Love, which of course makes sense because he used to work at Konami. So, just wanted to issue that quick correction, and thank you again to everyone who pointed that out.
Alright, well thanks for the update on that, Ash. And moving on to the second update for the day, we have a stage overview of Summit, the stage that returns from Brawl, being the Ice Climber stage. The description reads, "This stage is so exciting. When the summit of the mountain clears up, you can slide down the incline straight into the ocean. There are tons of details to take in. The aura floats over the mountaintop, a polar bear with sunglasses and swimming trunks swims in the ocean, and there's even a mysterious fish that tries to eat the fighters." So yeah, I actually have to say, guys, Summit is one of my favorite stages, I think, from Brawl. I think it's just...
Really?
Oh, I love it. I love everything about it. I love the music. I like how the music changes dynamically during each of the 3 segments, with it like turning into more of a rock track with like this guitar kicking in when you're sliding down the mountain, which is just fantastic. And I love the complete chaos. So once you reach the water with that fish, from Balloon Fight, by the way, which you have to watch out for. Like, it's very risky to go along the bottom of the platform because you never know when that fish might pop out and eat you. And I love it because it's always somehow hilarious and upsetting when it happens to whoever gets eaten.
Yeah.
So I really do love this stage. I just love how much it changes, while still being pretty consistent too, because you're always on the same platforms. It's just the surroundings that change and how the physics of your movement change as well. Like when you're sliding down, how you become floatier.
Right.
I love this stage. I pretty much am in total agreement with you. It was such a huge step up after the Ice Climber stage.
Maybe that's it.
I think it was so much better, and it's a lot of fun. I like the floatiness. It really does just change things up constantly without being too, I guess, weird, like, because it doesn't change up as you said, they don't change up the platforms, they stay the same. It's just what you do around those platforms is always different, which gives it sort of a unique flavor.
Yeah, it's probably the best form of the traveling stage, where the entire stage itself is traveling.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. It's just, I don't know, it's just a lot of fun, and I'm super glad it's back, and yeah, I don't really have much else to add.
Yeah, I do like this stage for its uniqueness. I will admit that this is not one that stands out in my mind as being a favorite stage from Brawl, but I also will say that I, for whatever reason, never played on it that much, so I feel like I need to give it another chance, and I certainly will be doing that here in Ultimate. I love the look of the stage. I love what you guys were saying about how it is really its own traveling stage, and I love snow and ice worlds in video games in general, and this, of course, is that. So I think I'm primed to like this stage. It just never stood out as one of my favorites back in Brawl, but I'm ready to give it another go here in Ultimate. And, I mean, come on, you've got polar bears in sunglasses and swimsuits. I mean, what more do you really need out of a Smash Brothers stage, right?
Yeah, I mean, that really is all you need. And as you mentioned,
Exactly.
It really is a great-looking stage, too, particularly with, like, the Northern Lights as a description touched on there.
Right.
Yeah, I just love like how visually dynamic it is. Like I tend to like stages that are visually dynamic, which is why I like the Lilac Cruise from Brawl as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more of this in Ultimate, and it looks and I like the upgrade they've made to it here.
Yeah, it's just enough of an upgrade. Like it's not, I don't know if it's super obvious, but it does looks good. I think it's kind of upgrade you'd expect.
Exactly.
The iceberg itself, it really benefits from some improved texturing, and I think geometry as well. It's hard to tell because the comparison shots we're looking at now take place at different parts of the stage, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what the Northern Lights look like in Ultimate, because I think it's going to look beautiful. But just the iceberg itself, you can tell it looks a lot better.
I also love how freaky the fish is now. He's kind of disturbing.
Yeah, it's going to make it even more hilarious, so I can't wait. Alright, moving on to day 4, being Wednesday, we got character overview for Ryu. So I'm going to throw it to you for this one, Ash, because you are a big Street Fighter guy. So what can you tell us about Ryu? Or what can you read to us about Ryu?
Sure, so Ryu's character description reads, Ryu is a special character. You can use directional command inputs to trigger his special moves. Executing moves like his Hadouken and Shoryuken using the command inputs from the original game will raise their power. You can even use a Shakunetsu Hadouken by inputting back diagonal down, forward diagonal forward, then tapping the attack button while facing right. So, yeah, so the Shakunetsu Hadouken, for those of you who are not aware, is that flaming Hadouken that sometimes comes out. It seems like it's random, but it's actually not. So if you do a quarter circle forward Hadouken, you get the regular blue one. But if you do a half circle forward, you get the red flaming Hadouken. So that's what that's talking about. And yeah, Ryu looks really great here. In fact, I would say that he's one of the ones that has benefited the most from an updated character model.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I also agree, but I've seen some comments from people who think that he doesn't look anything like any of his actual game appearances, like his face in particular.
I guess I could see that about his face maybe, but I guess I'm talking more about his overall model. Like his body looks a lot better, his hair looks just like it does in Street Fighter V. I would say his face is probably supposed to be based on Street Fighter V, but you're right, it's not a one-for-one likeness. And I would say, ironically, he almost looks more like Japanese-inspired, like anime-inspired here, and more like American comics-inspired in Street Fighter V, which is kind of a strange thing to say, but he almost does look more anime here in Smash with this new model.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit. His eyebrows do go over his bandana, so
Right.
That's something else. But
yeah,
I can definitely see where they coming with his face, but it also doesn't really bother me that much because Ryu's face has changed so much over the years between Street Fighters. It's never been super consistent. You got his body right, cool. He's good for me.
Right. Well, he's also gotten a few changes, gameplay-wise, too, my favorite among them being the fact that he will always now face his opponent, no matter where he is on the stage, which makes it easier to use forward attacks, like forward command inputs, but harder to use back ones. And that's something that comes straight from Street Fighter 2, and Street Fighter in general, is that he is always facing his opponent. And that's such a cool little Sakurai touch,
It really is, and I am really interested to see how that affects like the balance, as you kind of touched on there, how it will make some attacks easier to use and others more difficult. So it's going to be interesting to play as him in one-on-one matches. Although it's going to be a little bit weird with him facing the opponent, but his opponent may not be facing him.
Right.
It's another Ryu or whatever Echo Fighter.
Fight without honor.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that is going to make for an interesting dynamic, and I think it's going to make for really interesting high-level play on one-on-one matches when somebody's Ryu. But, I mean, it also makes sense because Ryu is uniquely the only character that not requires command inputs, but is made better by the fact that he has them. And so if you're going to be a Ryu main, you're going to need to be able to use those command inputs pretty well on command. And this change makes it easier for those players to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I just love the detail they put into this character. Like I said before, like I love how when they bring in these third-party characters, especially, it seems, how they really do go the extra mile in making them feel true to their games while fitting them within Smash Brothers. Like how, one of the inspirations for Smash Brothers was avoiding button input moves like Ryu or Street Fighter has in general, and yet here Ryu is with one of his own, and it kind of works. It's kind of cool. It's like, yeah, that's what Street Fighter is known for. Why wouldn't you be able to input his button command in order to pull off a special move?
Right, and I mean, I think it improves the power, or it strengthens the power of those moves by like 1.5 times. I think that's how it works.
Right.
Which is cool because it's there's a margin for error there. If you don't put it in right, you're going to whiff and potentially leave yourself open and get punished for it. But if you do, and if you get good enough at it, you can reliably kind of call out those more powerful versions of his special moves, making you that much better.
That is true. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the final day of the week, being Thursday, day 5, where this was the Nintendo Direct Day. So we've already talked about everything in the Nintendo Direct pretty in-depth in our Direct reaction, but as it pertains to the blog, they posted the All in a Day's Work trailer, which of course is Isabelle's reveal trailer for Smash Brothers. So even though we've already touched on her in our Direct reaction, we can talk about her a little bit more in-depth, I think, particularly with the fact that Derek has posted in-depth analysis of Isabelle, which really breaks down how similar or how different this character is to Villager, where it seems like in old Smash terms, she'd be what many consider a semi-clone. So I guess I'll make her a semi-Echo in this case, even though officially she is a newcomer and not an Echo. So yeah, I guess what do you guys think about Isabelle now that we have some time to digest her? Well, that sounds wrong.
Oh man, it sure does. I love that she's here. I think, Isabelle's one of my favorite characters from Animal Crossing. She's popular for a reason. And it's nice that she gets to take a break from working day in and day out in the mayor's office and actually get to go have some fun in Smash. But no.
Oh yeah, totally get the crap.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is that really fun?
Well, she seems
just like Fight Club.
I mean, she's pulling off a party popper in the key art, so she seems pretty happy about it. But no, I do love that she is. To me, she seems like a version of Villager that I will actually want to play, because Villager as they currently exist, I'm not a big fan of. I'm just not a character I enjoy playing. But Isabelle has the right kinds of changes that make her, to me, a more interesting character to play. Like, instead of, what seems to be the case is that instead of planting a tree, she plants a Lloyd that acts, that kind of comes up straight up and flies vertically once somebody trips over it. And other things like having the bucket of water instead of digging left and right. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I like the changes that she has, and as a design, I like Isabelle more than the villagers in general.
Yeah, well, you kind of touched on something there. She's a more interesting character because she's a character.
Exactly.
She has a personality. She's not just an avatar, and I kind of feel sorry for Villager now, because I agree. I think Isabelle looks way more interesting, both because she's new, so it's not quite fair in that sense, but also just, yeah, I like her as a character. A lot of people like her as a character. I mean, she's become the face of the series after one freaking game,
right.
Which is pretty impressive. So yeah, I love all the little tweaks here, all the changes that Derek pointed out that separate her from Villager, including her side special now, which acts, with the fishing rod, which effectively acts as like as a hook shot. Really, you can pull in a character, which then goes into her grab, I believe, right, Derek?
Yeah, correct. I mean, that's the thing. When we were first looking at this, it looked like, oh, okay, a fishing rod is her grab, and then we saw the fishing net the bug net come out, and it's like, wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. So it became pretty obvious that, okay, this must be the side special. And then I just happened to notice a few frames when she's fishing up Luigi where it actually went slack. And I realized, at least I'm 95% sure that she's a character where even if she misses and let's say they're running towards her, if she whips it back far enough and catches them on the hook, I think she can still grab them and pull them in. So it makes her kind of interesting in that way because it does firmly plant her. And I want to see more of how much of a detriment it is to use that fishing rod. Like, can she push the side special again in order to reel it back in much more quickly? Or is she sort of stuck in that animation until it comes back? So there's still a few questions for
her. If I had to guess, I would say she's stuck in it. But that's kind of how it works in Animal Crossing too. Like, it's very binary. You throw it and then you pull it back. That's it. There's no analog process to it.
So I can totally see that, but I love Isabelle as a character because, as you said, it has more personality. The joke was made that back in Wii U where Villager is this soulless killing machine ready to take you out because of his freaky eyes. But Isabelle, every animation with her is so full of personality, and they're all simple like it's not like she's a complicated character to design, but the way those animations come out and really do give her that personality. The fact that she has a shocked look on her face when she uses the party popper, or she's like, oh no, I'm about to fall when she's dropping the pot. Like, it adds just that little bit more to her that, yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with you guys. I'm more excited for Isabelle than the Return of Villager.
I think there's a good chance, had Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS come out just a few years later, we may have never gotten Villager in the first place. They may have just gone straight to Isabelle, because again, for all the reasons we said, I think she's more interesting. She's a character.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I will say I am slightly disappointed, speaking to the whole Killager joke meme thing, I am slightly disappointed that she loses the Villager's tree attack, because I really wanted to see Isabelle running around with an axe. I really wanted to see that.
She wouldn't, but she's just very proper, Ash.
It's true, she wouldn't do that.
I love the little touch that Derek pointed out. When her balloons pop from her recovery, she actually holds down her skirt.
I know, it's so cute.
It's just adorable.
I just like the fact that she actually swings on the swing.
It's so good.
Like, hey.
Just everything about her.
You know, that's the other great thing, is like there's been those jokes throughout the entirety of Ultimate. It's like, well, they're dead.
Yep.
Nobody died in her trailer, and not one character hits her in this entire trailer. Usually you see them taking at least maybe a little bit of damage or something like that. But yeah, nobody can bring themselves to actually attack Isabelle, and she gets through this entire trailer scot-free.
Yep.
I want to see Isabelle win an Evo. I absolutely want to see an Isabelle main take an Evo championship. That would be the funniest and most awesome thing.
That would be fantastic. I'm right there with you. All right, well, even though that's the end of the blog updates for the day, there was one more piece of news I wanted to touch on, especially because we didn't mention it in our direct discussion, which some people brought up, so I thought it'd be good for us to get to it now. And that's the fact that as part of the direct, Nintendo also announced the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Nintendo Switch bundle. So what this is it's a Nintendo Switch that comes with Super Smash Bros., a download code for specifically. It features a unique dock and Joy-Con designs. It will cost $359.99. It comes out November 2nd, which is really interesting, but that's weeks before the game itself. Except the download code for the game won't work until December 7th. So I guess you can get an early hype in if you really want, but it's going to be kind of depressing to look at your sad custom Smash Bros. Switch dock without being able to actually play Smash Bros. In it for a whole another month afterward.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is that you're basically looking, wistfully at this beautiful, limited edition Smash Switch and realizing that you have a month and a week, essentially, to wait to actually play the game. So I don't know if I'd want... I feel like if I was going to get it, I'd want to wait until December 7th to get it.
Yeah, that's a little weird, because when I first saw its release date, because it didn't state in the direct that the download code wouldn't work until the 7th, so I'm like, wait a second, why is this hitting on the 2nd? That's weird. Like, what's going on here? And yeah, it was kind of odd, but the dock itself looks great. I love the look of this dock. It's between it and Pokemon, they're doing a really good job of making the docks look interesting. I think the Joy-Cons suffer a little bit. Like, the left Joy-Con is fine. It has the cross symbol and all that. But the right Joy-Con is literally just a white line across the bottom.
Yeah, and you only see the whole image if you use the Joy-Con grip, which I don't know about you guys, but I don't know a single Switch owner who actually uses the Joy-Con grip.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
Yeah, nobody.
It's too bad it doesn't come with a Pro Controller. I think a lot of people would have loved that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that Pro Controller is a totally separate thing, and that has a really nice design to it, too.
I guess the main thing here is just the release date is so odd. Like, I don't think we've seen a bundle come out before the game itself before, have we?
I don't think so.
It seems like this is their way of getting in on Black Friday without having the game ready.
Oh, that is totally it.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that aspect, but you are totally right. This is their Black Friday thing.
Pretty clever, actually.
Yeah,
well,
it
really
is.
Even though it's going to disappoint some people. There are going to be people who buy this thinking Smash Brothers is ready to go inside the box, and it's not.
Yeah, and the thing is, if you wait until December 7th to get it, there aren't going to be any left, because you know these things are going to sell out pretty much immediately.
For sure. So that brings us to the end of the week, but we're of course not done yet, because we have to answer one of your guys' questions, where if you back us on Patreon for just $1 a month, you can submit a question every week, and we'll answer one of them every week. And you also get other perks too, like the ability to get our podcast 3 days early. So with that, this week's question comes to us by way of Juby Smith, who asks, What are your predictions on what the final fighter count will be by the time Ultimate releases? Please break down how many more Echoes and new fighters you think we'll get. So this question comes to us at a very interesting time too, because just a few hours ago, at the time we recorded this discussion, Amazon posted artwork, or the box art rather, for the Smash Bros. Ultimate Steelbook bundle. And some people are theorizing it may actually reveal the total number of characters coming to the game. Because if you look at the side of the box here, you can see a whole bunch of Smash characters on it, with 2 missing slots at the bottom, presumably for Isabelle as well as an upcoming fighter. But the important thing is that there are 36 characters, or 36 slots rather, for characters on that side of the box. And if we assume the same to be true of the other side of the box with another 36 characters, that brings us up to 72 in total, which is only 2 more than what we currently know about, at least going by the way that the game counts character slots. So Derek, you actually posted an update on this and what we're calling the box theory. Is there anything else I left out that you can fill us in on?
Yeah, it's a very odd numbering for it. So obviously, this is like, oh no, there's only 2 characters left, but it's not necessarily the case. Like the design of all these could be changed at some point. But going off this working theory, it's very interesting because it's basically every line and a half shows that set of characters, and then it switches to the other side of the box is where you'd find the other line and a half, so essentially 9 characters. And that makes it just very odd, but it also gives us a kind of numbering where we know which side each of them is on, and because of that we can actually kind of fill in where those blanks would be in those cases. And it basically pretty much puts out there that it's probably going to be 1 more Echo and 1 more new fighter if this theory is correct. And the new Echo would have to be somewhere between Palutena and Cloud. And that doesn't leave a lot open. So that pretty much leaves Shadow out to dry if this if this is the case. But we could get Miss Pac-Man. We could get Ken for Ryu. We could get Zack for Cloud, although I kind of doubt it. Ken seems the most obvious choice out of those. And then of course we could get either a new Echo fighter from the last from Corrin to Isabelle, but that seems very unlikely unless we get Jean for Bayonetta. So it's likely a brand new fighter. And it's hard to say whether that's going to be the case or not, because I don't know. The ordering of it is so odd to me, where it's rather than just going line by line, it's a line and a half for each. So it makes it look super odd. Plus, we don't know if there's any fighters on the back, so yeah, I don't know how this. It's a lot of holes filled in, but it's also an interesting idea where you can sort of fill in the blanks.
So gut reaction, what do you think? Do you think this is plausible, that the theory is plausible rather, that 72 characters might be it?
It's plausible, but I'm thinking no, it's wrong.
Okay, how about you, Ash?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's wrong as well, just because I don't, in my heart of hearts, I don't believe that from now to release, there's only 1 Echo fighter and 1 newcomer left to reveal. I just don't believe that.
It does feel very uneven if that's the case, considering we've had how many character reveals from E3 to now, and we're just over halfway now to the game's release, and there's only 2 fighters left. It doesn't quite seem balanced, but it's possible too, because I think, wasn't Smash Bros. Wii U and 3DS a little bit more front-loaded too, as opposed to the back end?
Yeah,
in some ways, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that could be said, that's true. I don't know, I feel like they're going to want to drum up more hype leading up to release, and I don't think the way you do that is by, blowing your character load back at E3 and this August Direct. Mm-hmm. I feel like you're going to want to save a few characters for leading up to launch, and only 2 left, that doesn't really leave that many to, obviously that's only 2, so I just feel like the balance is a little off, and I mean, there's also the chance that maybe I know they've said they're going to reveal every character before launch, but that doesn't necessarily mean that every character has to be on the box. But I mean, it would make sense for them to be. But I don't know. It's just this doesn't read right to me. I don't think there's only 1. I mean, I could maybe see only 1 or 2 more newcomers, but only 1 more Echo fighter. That doesn't sound right to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I can really see going either way, because if you figure we just got a new character announcement, so that covers us for September. Really, then that means there's only really October and November left they have to fill. If they put 1 character in each month, that gets us to launch, basically. So
that's true. I just feel like that 1 character, whoever the Echo fighter is, would have to be a big deal for them to be able to carry their own announcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think Ken is that. Ken is what people want, but I also don't think he's that huge. He's literally the original Echo.
Shadow could probably carry it. If it was Shadow, but again, what you said, Derek, about the whole theory, that would leave Shadow out to dry. So there's just something that doesn't quite add up about all this, even though the logic is sound, which is what makes it so frustrating, because the math is sound, but just the feeling of it, the logic of it doesn't quite make sense to me.
Yeah, because let's be honest, we're probably going to get like a November Direct, something before this to really hype up the game beforehand. And that's likely when we're going to get our last character, and they're going to go over all the modes and whatnot. But they really would like sort of like this last Direct punctuate it with more than one character.
I guess the question is, so right now people are theorizing that what we're looking at isn't the final box. That we'll get a more final box with all the characters filling in those blank spots, which is weird that they're there because if this were the final box, you would think they would have accounted for that and just filled in those slots or adjusted it so that they were filled in. But I do have a theory. Like, I wonder if maybe this may not be the final box. But what if the final box doesn't necessarily have every character? Because the thing is, they still have to ready those boxes, well before the game actually comes out. Presumably before the characters are possibly even announced. Because even though we know they're going to announce all the characters before the game comes out, that doesn't mean they're going to announce them all before the box art has to be ready and already being manufactured. So I do wonder if they might just still leave some characters off the box before its release. And I'm kind of like leaning toward that idea now.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the fact that, unlike the Switch bundle that we just talked about, this is not coming out early. This is coming out the day of release. So they have the time to put on the entire roster. Because otherwise, if it was coming out November 2nd, like with the Switch bundle, then it would have to have all the characters on it, or theoretically.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, we're also assuming that they have to put every character in the box, which they don't.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You were just saying there's good reason for the fact that they don't. So I don't know. I know the math makes sense. The logic is there from a pure mathematical standpoint, but I'm not buying it. I don't think we only have one more fighter, one more newcomer, and one more Echo fighter. I think there's more.
So that brings us back to Juby's question. How many fighters do we think they're going to be?
Okay. 74.
Oh, you know what? Real quick, how are we counting these, by the way? Are we using the official numbering system, or are we going by the method we used when talking about the box?
Well, it's hard, again, because Isabelle is considered number 68, based on their numbering.
Yeah, but if you go by the individual slots for each of them, and that's how the box art does go with, it's like, so even though it's 51 to 53 for the Mii fighter, and like whatnot for the same sort of thing for the Pokemon trainer, they only take up one spot.
Right.
So that's what we're going for. So 70 spots for these individual characters.
So you're going 74 based on that, Ash. So you're saying there's 4 new fighters. So how many are Echoes and how many are newcomers?
I'm gonna say two newcomers and 2 more Echoes. I think.
I was going to say 74 as well. I think I think that would last us until the rest of the year, and I think you could find a good way to do that. I feel like Dark Samus and Chrom were easy to just toss out there, but I have a feeling like the other Echo fighters would be a little bit more exciting. Like it feels so, like, maybe because of internet hype and all that, but it really does feel like the last 2 Echo fighters should be Ken and Shadow. They kind of make the most sense. Obviously, there's a lot more that could come out there. Again, Jean for Bayonetta, Miss Pac-Man for Pac-Man, Proto Man for Mega Man, even though that seems like a long shot. Just stuff like that. But those 2 do seem to be the most requested as far as Echo fighters. So I could see them going down that route. And it's sort of like the same idea that Richter is an Echo fighter, but he's still really exciting. Unlike, Chrom, sure. Not that Chrom isn't exciting, but still.
Man, all those Chrom fans are going to be so pissed at you right now.
Yeah, they really are. I feel bad. And then, 2 more fighters. I can maybe see maybe 1 extra to get us up to 75, but I'm feeling only 74, so 2 more brand newcomers.
I was thinking that too. It's like I almost wanted to amend my answer to say 75 because that's such a milestone number that, in PR they can say 75 fighters. 75 sounds so much better than over 70 or 74. 75 is just that you got 1 more quarter, then you're at 100. So
why stop at 75? I'm going 77, baby.
Nice.
I'm saying we're getting 3 newcomers and 4 Echoes. So yeah,
right.
I think we'll get more than just 2 more Echoes. I don't think they introduced Echo fighters just to have the handful we already have. I think we'll have at least 3 more, but I'm going with 4 and the 3 newcomers as well. I do think, I'll admit, I think the 3 newcomer thing is the lesser likely of the 2. I think it's possible to get away with just 2 new newcomers, but I'm going 3. I think that feels right to me.
All right. I may have to officially amend my answer to 75 and say 2 newcomers, 3 echoes.
Okay.
I think that also makes sense. I'm kind of torn between 74 and 75, but I also do. I kind of see what you're saying about Echo Fighters, and I feel like if there were only 2 left to reveal, that would be a little surprising. So,
yeah.
Especially since I just counted up, and I think we're at like 6. So
right. So I'm thinking maybe
only 6
3 more
Echo Fighters right now. So
yeah.
I could almost see them trying to get it up to 10.
And my count to do it. There we go.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. So what are our official numbers then? I'm doing 77. You got 75, Ash, and then Derek.
The Echo Fighters threw me off, so I'm going to actually go one more than Ash and go 76.
All right, cool. So whoever is right, I'm taking credit for it since I influenced both your numbers.
Yeah, you really did.
Nice.
I mean, 9 or 10 Echo Fighters makes complete sense to me, so I can buy either me or Ash. You seem like a bit of a long shot, Andre, but I mean, we're all within that range. But
so here's my question: do you think there's a chance we get to 80? Any chance we get to 80 fighters in this game before DLC?
Nah, not before DLC. I do think DLC is going to push it above 80, though.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that'd be 10 new fighters. I don't see that happening. That seems a little bit excessive. So I'll stick with my 7 overall between newcomers and Echoes. So
I'm curious who you think your 4 Echo Fighters are going to be.
Yeah, so there's Shadow. There's probably Ken. Beyond that, you really got me. I mean, I really can't even tell you. I really have no expectations for who the rest could be. I just know there's probably going to be more. As for who they are, I have no idea. So,
I'm going to say, just tossing it out there, see if I can get a John-like prediction right. Just pulling something out of my butt and seeing what we get. I'm going to say Miss Pac-Man and Octoling.
Okay.
Damn it! That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say Ken, Shadow, and Miss Pac-Man, and I was kind of on the fence about Octoling. But that's pretty basically what I was gonna say. But I think Ken and Shadow are the ones that I'm really confident about. The other 2, not as much. But actually, I would say, now that I think about it, I would say I'm more confident about Octoling than I am about Miss Pac-Man, even though Miss Pac-Man makes so much sense.
Yeah, I do think Miss Pac-Man is the longer shot. Octoling is still a bit of a long shot just because of how recent it is.
Right, that's what
but I feel like that's been in development for a long time. Like, the data for Octolings were in the original Splatoon.
Well, and I mean, Simon got his own Echo in Richter. So I mean, even though Inkling is a new character, that doesn't necessarily preclude them from having an Echo.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. But I think, but they're basing the Inkling off Splatoon 1, in which the Octolings were only enemies in that game before they were playable. So I think that might be a factor.
Yeah. If we get Octolings, that means we have a better shot of getting Splatoon 2 music in here, which there's no representation of yet. So I want that.
Good point. We still have that whole video we need to post still. We've had ready for a while.
I know. I was thinking about that today.
Yeah.
I've had it ready. News keeps coming.
Yeah, we're talking about songs of Smash too. We have a whole Inkling or a whole Splatoon episode ready to go. So that'll probably be going up, I'm guessing, next week sometime. So I think that answers that question. So thanks again for sending it in, Juby. And again, if you want to send in your own questions, you can for just $1 a month on Patreon, where you'll also get early access to our podcast 3 days early. And with that, we're done discussing Smash for this week. But we'll be back next week to talk about even more Smash, as we are every week. And with that, thanks for watching. Of course, we'll catch you later. Bye.